Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis Legacy. Sorority secrets of the goddess next door are revealed in this all-new Isis series adventure. Get Isis Legacy in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. One of my viewers wanted me to talk about the commercialization of dating and love. Now, your dating in and of itself was always a business, and it was a business made by institutions like Madison Avenue, Hollywood, and corporate America. And they wanted to commercialize the whole concept of dating so that they could go out here and profit at the expense of unsuspecting young boys and young girls. Now, the whole concept of dating came around in the 1940s when corporate America, Madison Avenue, and Hollywood created the concept of the teenager. Now, before the 1940s, there was no teenager. No, most people who were in their teen years were called youths. And these youths would come together and meet each other through the family. Now, back then, what they called dating was called courtship, and courtships were arranged by the family. And usually, a young man who was usually in his 20s, he had to go to a father and he had to request a meeting if he wanted to get involved with a young woman. So he had to meet with the father and have dinner with the family, and they had to see his character presented to them, and he had to discuss what his goals were for his future before he got involved with a young woman. So there was no dating back before the 1940s, and a young man had to go to a father in order to get approval and blessing to court his daughter. And over the course of that courtship, he had to see whether or not if this young woman was suitable for marriage. Now, this did not fit into the plans of your corporate America, Madison Avenue, and Hollywood, and they wanted to be able to profit at the expense of young men and young women. So they created the social construct of the teenager, and they created the social construct of the teenager so they could go out here and sell them a lifestyle as related to having a relationship with a young woman. So they wanted to be able to get this young man indoctrinated into this idea of dating, and they wanted to indoctrinate the young woman into the idea of dating because they wanted to persuade them to go out here and spend lots of their parents' money on things like going out to these movies that Madison Avenue and Hollywood produced, and get them to go to events like your baseball games, go to events like your concerts, and they would be able to profit at the expense of these teenagers' parents because they would be the ones giving them the money to go out on these dates. So dating has always been a commercial enterprise, and it has always been about trying to sell both the young man and the young woman on having to go out here and spend money to impress the woman. So it was all about trying to get the young man to think, oh, I'm going to go out here and spend this money in order to go out here and gain the approval of these women. And as these young women saw this guy spending money, this triggered their hypergamy. And this, once their hypergamy was triggered and they saw that this guy had resources, this is what made him appear to be attractive to them. So this is why your dating has always been commercialized, because it's all about making lots of money for big business. Because as they have this guy going out here looking to impress the female, what he's doing is he's going out here spending a lot of his parents' money in the beginning, and then he'll go out here, work a part-time job trying to get the money to be able to take her to the movies, take her to expensive restaurants, take her out to concerts, and also buy her lots of gifts like flowers, buy her lots of gifts like expensive clothes, and it's all about making money for those businesses, and it's all designed to keep the man spending because he's trying to impress the woman, and he's hoping that by spending all of this money, he will leave an impression on her that he has all of these resources that will allow her to be provided for. Unfortunately, both the man and the woman don't see how they're being conned by your big business, and they don't see how they're being put on a treadmill to becoming these consumers who just go out here and spend lots of money. And he just continues spending more and more money trying to impress this female, never understanding the basic concept as related to courtships was that this woman knew within the first 5 seconds of looking at a man whether or not she wanted to have a relationship with him. So it didn't matter how much money he spent on that woman, whether he spent $1 or $1,000, she knew whether or not she wanted to be involved with that man romantically within 5 seconds of looking at him. Unfortunately, many young men and many young women, they never get this type of information, and because they get indoctrinated through your Hollywood movies and your Madison Avenue advertising as related to the social construct of dating, many of them buy into these commercial concepts that are presented to them, and they believe that this is the only way they can go out here and have a relationship with a woman by going out here and spending lots of money. And they don't understand that the more money you spend, the less your chances are of getting this woman to be impressed, because the more money you spend is not going to change her mind, because her mind was made up in that first 5 seconds of looking at you, and her mind was made up in that 5 seconds when she made her first observation of you. So it's not worth your time to go out here and spend all of this money. All you're doing is making these big businesses rich at your expense, and all you're doing is gassing up the head of a female, making her believe that her worth is based on material things, and making her believe that she is entitled to having lots of material things, making her think that she is going to have to get the man with the most money, when all of those ideas, again, they were all man-made constructs, and the whole concept of dating is all about making money for corporate America, making profits for corporate America, because every dollar you spend taking a woman to the movies, every dollar you spend taking a woman to a restaurant, every dollar you spend going to concerts or going out to different events, this is all money that people make at the expense of a man, and all of that money is something that this woman will look at as nothing, because again, she's already made up her mind, and it doesn't matter how much money you spend. But the big businesses love it when you spend the money, because they need dating to be a commercial business, because dating is a way that they profit from a courtship. That the way they make profit is by getting you to spend all of your money buying into the concept of the teenager, buying into the concept of dating. Because if a man were to go back to the tradition of courtship, there wouldn't be as much money spent on these movies. There would not be money spent going out. There would not be money spent going to fancy restaurants. No, a man would not be spending that kind of money, because he would understand that if he's going to go out with this woman in a courtship, it's all about them getting to know each other. And your courtships, they end usually in about 6 months to a year, because if a man does not see marriage as the final goal, he realizes that this is not worth his time. But when a man is bought into the concept of dating, what he does, he thinks of dating as going on for an extended period of time, and people will date each other for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and big business will make a lot of money. Whereas if that person were to get married, there wouldn't be all of that money spent on consumer products, and it wouldn't be spent on trying to impress a female over time. So the commercialization of dating, it has a major impact on relationships, because it makes relationships about the material and not about the personal, and not about the values and the character. And because the relationships are not based on values and character, they're based on the value of what a man brings to the table financially. So that's one of the things that messes up dating and relationships, this commercialization of relationships, because again, it triggers that woman's hypergamy, and it leads to her looking for a man who makes the big money, a man who has all of the expensive items, a man who is out here looking like a big shot, and her thinking that this guy having big resources mean that he's a good man, but he's only good for the money that he's making. She doesn't value him as a man, and she doesn't see a man as a man. No, she sees him as a utility, and when she sees him as a utility, she doesn't see him as anybody worth anything except the money in his pocket. And when she sees another man with more money, she's more eager to get rid of the man that she has and replace him with another man. And that's all part of commercialization. When something no longer is popular or no longer profitable to you, you discard it. And that's what leads to men being seen as disposable. So this commercialization of dating, this was a social construct that has really harmed relationships and has made it where people don't learn to love each other. Instead, they see people as assets and objects, and it's all about you trying to go out here and get what you can out of things. For the male, he's thinking about getting sex in exchange for his date, and the woman, it's all about her getting a free dinner or a free drink. So basically, it's basically like prostitution. So your dating, as it's a commercial thing, it is really messed up, love and relationships. And your commercialization of dating basically has turned dating into prostitution, because most of these guys out here, when they say they're looking for a date, they're basically looking for sex, and they're looking for women who are going to give them easy sexual access by dropping the skid mark thong and giving them a taste of the atomic waste in exchange for that two-piece chicken dinner, that shrimp fried rice and chicken wings, or those White Castle burgers. He's thinking about getting something for his whatever he's offering, and instead of people looking to get together because they have common interest, all they're looking for to do is business. And again, that's what happens when you commercialize dating and you turn it into a business. That's basically what dating is. It is a commercialization of relationships, and it is a way for big business to make big money off of young, unsuspecting people. Now, I hope this answers the question of my viewer as related to the subject that he requested about my thoughts on the commercialization of dating and love. And if you want to request a video, you can send a donation to the Cash App or the PayPal, and if I know something about that subject, I will make that video for you. And if you want to pick up some of my books on the SJS Direct Imprint, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the John Hay series, or my men's issues books like the Simp Trilogy, or The Man Crisis, or Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, you can find those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find those books on Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. If you think you've seen scares, get ready for the horror of the hyena woman.